Call the City of Westfield, Indiana Board of Public Works and Safety meeting to order for January 24th of 2024. Will staff please note the presence of a quorum?
Nick Barbkinick,
Present.
Randy Graham,
Present.
Mayor Willis.
Present.
We do have a quorum.
Thank you. First item up is election of board president and vice president. I'll entertain nominations at this time.
I'll make a motion for, to approve Randy Graham as our president.
Second.
All right, are there any further nominations, discussion, questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Right?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Entertain motions for vice president.
You want to make that, Randy, or? I can make it.
Yep.
I'll nominate Nick Barbanek for vice president. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
I don't know.
That's why I let you do it. I'll second that.
Everybody's scared to say his last name.
Motion's been made and seconded for Nick as vice president. Any discussion, questions, further nominations? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is consideration of minutes from the December 13th, 2023 meeting. Having had time to review those minutes, are there any questions, comments, corrections? All right. If there's no discussion, I will make a motion to pass the minutes of December 13th, 2023 as written. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to pass the minutes of December 13th, 2023. Will all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 2, under contracts and agreements, WSP USA and City of Westfield, ROW Task Order 27 Amendment, Mule Barn Road.
Sure, and for the record, Michael Pierce, city engineer with Westfield. So John right now is going to the project location on here, but to give you some background, we're currently in the design phase of a project to reconstruct and widen Mule Barn Road through our corporate limits from 32 going north to the concrete plants that are located on the map that you can see there. So that project is expected to go into construction later this year, but as part of this project, we do have to acquire some right-of-way to be able to expand that road. As you can see on here, it's fairly narrow. We don't have any platted right-of-way through here. The item before you is an amendment to a previously established task order with WSP to go through the acquisition of that right-of-way. So for some background on that, we have an on-call contract with WSP, which handles a vast majority of our right-of-way acquisition services on our public works projects. So we originally had a task order with them in July of 2021, which at that time only included one parcel, which was the parcel directly to the east of Mule Barn. Working through the design and working with NDOT and looking at the improvements that we're going to be making with State Road 32, with where that ties into Mule Barn, it was necessary to get some additional right-of-way from these parcels you see along the north side of 32 on the map. And so this amendment to the task order really just brings in those two parcels into the task order so WSP can move forward with right-of-way acquisition on those two parcels. So it brings it from the original value for the one parcel from $11,405 up to now a total value of $32,165, which is what we would typically see for right-of-way acquisition services on projects like this. So this is just asking for approval to modify that existing task order.
All right. Any discussion or questions on this item? All right. No questions or comments on this item, then I will entertain a motion on action item number 2.
To approve?
I'll second.
Have a motion made and seconded to approve action item number 2, WSP USA and City of Westfield right-of-way task order number 27 amendment, Mule Barn Road. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next up on the agenda is action item number 3, V3 Companies in City of Westfield, Construction Administration, Scope and Fee, Simon Moon Park, Phase 1.
Chris McConnell, for the record, Parks and Recreation Superintendent. This is, the item before you is, just as it says, the fees and scope of service for construction administration for our Simon Moon expansion project, which will the bids will come back in and be opened on Tuesday, and then construction is slated to begin in March. The project is taking the old wastewater detention lagoons and shrinking them and turning them into a recreation lake and the surrounding land that is added to the park as well. And it's having V3 doing the construction administration for that project for us.
How big is the total construction of the project cost?
The engineer's estimate. Okay. Okay.
Since we're opening bids on Tuesday, January 30th, I don't want to disclose the engineer's estimate at this time. However, what I will say is that the CE, this is a CE contract with V3 for $277,000. The amount of that proposal is very much in line with what we would expect to pay for this type of scope of services for the size project that we're expecting.
Thank you.
So this is just dealing with is it dealing with any of the trails or anything else that was going in?
Yes,
So it's the whole-
it is the whole package of the upgrade of that park.
And when's that supposed to be completed?
It should be completed by the end of this year. We're looking, the bid documents state substantial completion by December with 100% completion by early spring of 2025. And that's so we can make sure to get the landscape package planted in an appropriate time frame.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion on action item number 3.
I'll make a motion to approve construction administration scope and fee for Simon Moon Park Phase 1.
Second?
Have a motion made and seconded to approve action item number 3, V3 Companies in City of Westfield, Construction Administration Scope and Fee, Simon Moon Park, Phase 1. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is action item number 4, H&N Outdoor Services LLC in City of Westfield, 2022 to 2024, addendum revised low-profile site spreadsheet.
So this is, again, Chris McConnell, Parks and Recreation Superintendent for the record. This is our annual addendum adding low-profile landscape maintenance to the contract that we currently hold with H&N Outdoor Services. They do all of our low-profile landscape maintenance throughout the community, and this is adding, as spelled out in this addendum, those roughly 4 items.
Questions or comments? All right, hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve action item number 4, H&N Outdoor Services LLC in City of Westfield, 2022 to 2024 addendum revised low-profile site spreadsheet.
I'll second.
Have a motion made and seconded to approve action item number 4 as stated on the record. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 5, A&F Engineering in City of Westfield, Grand Park Boulevard, Tournament Trail intersection signal design,
Thank you. For the record, John Nail, Director of Public Works, City of Westfield. This proposal before you is from A&F Engineering for the design of a traffic signal at Grand Park Boulevard and Tournament Trail, as you can see on the screen here. Since we had opened Grand Park Boulevard, we've got a really good north-south movement all the way from 32 up into Grand Park. The construction of Tournament Trail and some of the development around it has started to make this intersection fairly busy, I would say. We've also got a transformer from Duke Energy on the southeast corner that's creating some sight distance concerns. We recognize that this was going to need to be signalized at some point, and we are looking at a design to signalize the intersection similar to what we did at Wheeler Road and Tournament Trail a few years ago. A&F Engineering did that design as well, so that we can help mitigate some of the congestion, improve traffic flow, and provide safety at this intersection for years to come. The contract before you is for $37,950. It's very much, it has been reviewed, it's very much in line with what we'd expect to pay for this type of signal design work. And then Joe Rangel from A&F is here with us today. I would just say A&F continues to do a great job for the city of Westfield. They do a lot of road, intersection, and traffic design work for us, and I appreciate their efforts.
What sort of timeline do you see for construction of it?
So I'd like to get Joe and his team started as soon as possible once this is approved. There is a bit of a lead time for signal poles typically, and I'm going to look at Joe over here. But I mean, ideally, we'd like to get this installed later this year, but I'm going to look at Joe and make sure that he nods his head and agrees that that's possible.
Signal poles can be like 5 months to get here. So I think it's possible to get this year, but it'll be late this year.
Yep.
Usually construction there is cheaper. You don't have road construction on, so it'll be kind of sitting on your end if you want to go fall.
Yep. The goal is later this year, though.
Move to approve.
Okay. I will second that. You didn't have any further questions, Mr. Mayor?
No.
Okay,
We
sorry.
skipped over.
Don't want to
If
run
I do,
over.
I can catch them after the
Okay,
meeting.
all right. Have a motion to approve and seconded action item number 5, A&F Engineering, City of Westfield, Grand Park Boulevard, Tournament Trail intersection, signal design. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. On to action item number 6. GAI Consultants, City of Westfield, Cherry Street Bridge Project, supplemental number 1.
Yeah, so again, John Nail, Director of Public Works, City of Westfield. The contract before you is with GAI Consultants, and it's related to the Cherry Street Bridge Project. We've talked about this for a little while now, and we had an original contract with GAI in the amount of $46,600 for an initial engineering scoping report, some topographic survey, and importantly, some hydraulic modeling. The point of this project, as you can see, this bridge on Cherry Street, which is, just for reference, just south of 32 here, south of Field Brewing, carries Cherry Street over Grassy Branch. It's an old structure, not in great condition. Importantly, no pedestrian facilities. It's a narrow bridge as well. And it has created, to some extent, a bit of a pinch point in the stream, which has created, as I turn on the flood mapping here, some pretty wide floodplain upstream of Cherry Street. So just looking at the flood mapping, you can kind of assume or estimate as an engineer that this may be undersized already. So we had GAI take a look at the structure sizing and the hydraulic modeling in that original contract, just to make sure that replacing the bridge with a larger span, wider span, allowing more water flow through there would indeed help improve the hydraulic conditions upstream. Their modeling showed that indeed that was the case, in addition with maybe some downstream channel clearing that we're looking to do. And so with that, we'd like to move forward with a bridge replacement project on Cherry Street to provide a full 2 travel lanes of sufficient width, likely 11 or 12-foot travel lanes, importantly pedestrian facilities on each side, and a bridge span that allows for efficient water flow under that structure. That'll help to bring some of these parcels upstream of that bridge out of floodplain and floodway, and may allow them to be developed by future developers. So some really good benefits with the project, in addition to the structure itself needing to be replaced. The contract before you is a supplemental because it's a supplemental to the original contract that we had with GAI. It's in the amount of $471,415. It is for the full design of that bridge. So taking plans from where they are today to a final bid set, including hydraulic modeling, all the required permitting that comes with a bridge project like this, and as well as any right-of-way acquisition or easement acquisition for some downstream channel clearing or easements that may be required with the project. We have reviewed it. It's very much in line with what we'd expect to pay with a project of this size. And so we are asking for the board to approve this contract so we can move forward with a much-needed Cherry Street Bridge project. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
The only thing I'll add is GAI is here. Kyle Pearl is in the audience. He'll be the project manager on the project. He runs their bridge department. GAI has done some projects with us in the past, namely 171st and Cary Roundabout was a project that they did, as well as design on a pedestrian bridge over the John Edwards Drain that is yet to be constructed. I just want to give them a shout out. They do great work for us as well for the city. So just to give some context there.
There can't be that many bridges the city's in control of, right?
That's correct. This is one of the few bridge projects we get to do as a city, so we're excited to get going.
Okay. There is no further discussion. I'll make a motion to approve action item number 6, GAI Consultants in City of Westfield Cherry Street Bridge Project Supplemental Number 1.
Second.
Have a motion made and seconded to approve action item number 6 as stated on record. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is action item number 7, public right-of-way dedication, Osborne Trails, Section 2.
Yep, Michael Pierce, city engineer. This one's a pretty simple, it's just a right-of-way dedication. This is for the entrance to Osborne Trails. To not get into the weeds too much, basically their entrance is shifted to the east side of the road because of some transmission poles that are through there, which require some longer tapers for their entrance, the construction of their entrance. So they had to acquire some additional right-of-way from the Stone Center to the south to fit those improvements within the right-of-way. So this is essentially just accepting the right-of-way as city property now.
And just for your knowledge, this is a standard form that we use that's been written up by our attorneys, and many developers go through the same process, but it is formally approved and accepted by the Board of Public Works.
Any discussion on action item number 7? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded to approve action item number 7, public right-of-way dedication, Osborne Trails, Section 2. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. On to action item number 8, Christopher B. Burke Engineering and City of Westfield on-call MS4 Stormwater Services Professional Services Proposal.
For the record, West Root Stormwater Coordinator, City of Westfield. The contract you have before you is a proposal to continue on-call services with Christopher Burke Engineering as it relates to our stormwater services. Some of the various required permit activities related to this will be as it relates to our MS4 permit with the state. Some highlights that we're wanting to accomplish are some MCM or minimal control measures 4 and 5 audit prep, some annual reporting. We have some ordinances that need to be revised as part of this new permit cycle. And we would like to maybe start some outfall screening for our compliance efforts.
So is this a new contract or?
This would
Annual
be a new
contract?
contract. We are finishing up a previous on-call contract with Christopher Burke Engineering already, so.
We've worked with them in the past.
Yep. So they pretty much take the lead on most of our stormwater efforts here within the city, mostly statewide, so.
Yeah, and not to exceed amount of $40,000, again, on call, so as we identify things for them to help us out with, they bill us on an hourly basis, not to exceed 40,000.
And this is standard in what we've done in the past, correct? So it's continuing on. Are
Correct.
there any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve action item number 8, Christopher B. Burke Engineering, City of Westfield, on-call MS4 Stormwater Services, Professional Services Proposal.
So moved?
Second?
Have a motion made and seconded to approve action item number 8 as stated on record. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. On to action item number 9, White Construction and City of Westfield, 511 East Main Street demolition, goods and services contract.
Yeah, so I'll give a little background on this one. This is our standard goods and services contract with a contractor to provide demolition of the structures at 511 East Main Street. It is this parcel that I'm highlighting on the GIS. Some background here. So in 2021, we went through a process with Taft representing us. This is an unsafe structure and a public nuisance. So we went through a court proceedings in accordance with Indiana Code 36-7-9-4 and a public nuisance, IC 32-30-6-6. And through that court process, we had given the owner, 45 days from August 22nd, 2021 to fully abate this property in accordance with those state statutes. The owner has not abated those, and so following the process, we had to do a public bid for demolition services and to mitigate that unsafe condition. This is the result of that public bid. White Construction was low bidder at $73,000 for this work. And this is the approval of our standards goods and services contract to execute the agreement and to get them started on demolition work. We do need to provide the tenant or the owner a 15-day notice. We'll provide more than that in advance, but this is the first step to get that contractor moving towards remedying the situation and closing this matter out. Happy to answer any questions. I know that was a lot.
That's the gray structure with the tarps where there's always like smoke?
That's correct.
Okay.
Pulled it up on Google Maps and looked like it needed it.
Yes, it is fair to say that the courts ruled correctly that it was indeed an unsafe condition and public nuisance.
Right. Questions, comments? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve action item number 9, White Construction, City of Westfield, 511 East Main Street demolition, goods and services contract.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded to approve action item number 9 as stated on the record. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the consent agenda. If it were not ready to go, it would not be on the consent agenda. So I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the consent agenda as written. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. On to department reports. First up, Westfield Fire.
Good afternoon, Rob Gaylor, Westfield Fire Department. Have a couple reports here. Typically, in years past, we've done a monthly, quarterly, and then a yearly report to the Board of Public Works. Most of the fire department-related business does not necessarily come in front of the board unless we're under a contract or something like that. So we'd be happy to send these reports as we have done in the past, but up for recommendations from the board and the body to see what the need for the fire department to come to these meetings, and kind of up to you. Without getting into too much detail, I'm not going to read it line by line as we go through. I just want to hit some highlights. And I'm starting with the year end, or the end of the year report in 2023. We did just under 5,000 runs or calls for service. We averaged just a little over 13 runs a day. And our average turnout time was 1 minute and 15 seconds. So by national standards, that's pretty good for average. However, to be more along an accredited type agency, we want that to be the 90 percentile or a fractile time. So there's a difference between average and the 90 percentile. But we're doing really good. We're actually had almost 11,000, you can see there, 10,679 times that a fire engine, a medic unit, a ladder truck, a battalion chief rolled out the door in the city on runs. For those of you that are newer to this board, this is actually down from 2022, and I can explain how we didn't take as many runs in 23 as we did in 22 here in a minute. We broke it down by the station. Station 1 being the busiest station, having more calls for service, Station 2, and then Station 3. Towards the end of the fourth quarter, we placed in service a third transporting medic unit out of Station 3 because 432 times a year we were having another transport agent come in with another medic unit and take care of our citizens. So we were at the time that we needed to place that unit in service, and we did. So if you go back and look over years past, if you're a historian, what you'll find is that Station 3, having that unit there, is actually increased in call volume. We've redistricted and moved some things around. Would like to keep these all within 400 or 500 calls of one another. But we cover 56 square miles, and you do that with 3 houses. Some people are going to have more densely populated areas and more rural areas. So just kind of a snapshot. So when we compare some of the property values, property loss versus the insured value of the things, 46.9% of property value saved. So what this statistic shows is we had a residential structure fire and the property value of that was X. We saved that amount of property. So red is bad, green is good, and we did pretty well overall for the year. Comparing the districts from 22 to 23, pretty consistent as you look and move on. But as you see here, we are down overall 1.6% in our call volume. Kind of deceiving, the calls for service in the city really didn't go down. We added a social worker to our mix, and Jamie is phenomenal, and we track her stats in a different system. So the 79 runs in total difference there from 2023 to 2022, Jamie made more than 79 contacts for the year. So when we place that into account, we're over 5,000 runs as an organization. So again, I'm not going to bore you with the rest of the data sets that are in there, but would be happy to answer any questions that you folks may have.
You were talking about reductions in runs, and I've been away from this board for a couple of years. I know one of the big spikes that we had were with assisted living, and there being some efforts, some proactive efforts to reduce those amount of calls. Is that part of the reduction that you were talking about?
I would like to say that yes, it's part of the reduction. However, I just scrolled, here's some data on our assisted living and nursing facilities that we currently have here in the city. 800 times last year we responded to those facilities. I will say that with some of those facilities, that the staffing and management changes a lot, so their internal policies and procedure change. Sometimes when that happens, we get kind of called in to take care of a run instead of another transporting or transfer unit. But I will say that some of those that are high users of the system have gotten better in the last, the tail end of the year. So I also know that through area plan and some other things, that there's a couple more units coming in. Matter of fact, the fire department administration met with some of the builders of a project that's taking place in the Southwest. So we want to be good partners and good stewards of our land and what's coming in and how it's used, but we also want the user of that land to be good patrons of the city services as well. So starting those meetings early is very important, and we were able to do that with one of the current projects that's coming into town. So
When you assist on those, when you come in and assist, as you described, is that like billable time, or is that just on the city?
that's a tricky subject. Obviously, if the patient carries insurance, Medicare, Medicaid, then we can recoup those costs at that level. Just like with all insurance claims, it's a negotiated rate, so our cost of doing business may be higher than what the insurance company is going to supply.
Right.
So you operate at anywhere from a 60 to 80% recovery rate is outstanding. And so when you think about it like that, you do lose anywhere from 20 to 40% on those calls, which is, I hate to say it, but national average.
Okay, thank you.
And Rob, you say you're doing these briefs monthly right now, or what's your rhythm for this?
Briefs with the assisted living facilities?
No, with our board?
So every time that there was a Board of Public Works meeting, the fire department, the police department shared our monthly report. So it was on a monthly basis. We run the data sets all the time, so it's a matter of 20 minutes, 30 minutes of bundling it up and delivering the package. But
I know I like to see the reports, and I read the reports before we come, and I think that I think it's good to have a presentation once a month at this board, and because lots of times I'm going to be signing documents for approval of items and whatnot, and I just think it's good to have a standard once a month dissemination of information so that we as a board know exactly what's going on, what we're approving, and just have a better understanding of it.
yeah, anytime the fire department has business that needs to come in front of you, we'll definitely be here. But like today, we didn't have anything on the agenda other than a monthly report. Have no problems sending on that monthly report and attending meetings is needed.
Yeah, I think we should continue to do that.
Fair enough. You got it, John?
Very helpful. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I know
Thank
where
you.
to find you if I need you.
Yep. Next up is Chief Rush, Westfield Police.
Thanks. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
It's been a minute, huh?
Yeah, a couple of years.
For us, it's a little bit different than the fire because you do act somewhat as our commission. You have your hands on our hiring, our firing, and a lot of other important issues that we have. So we're going to continue giving those reports. I do want to say, though, I don't like the way it looks. We are in the middle of your February one will look a lot different. And that goes with a lot of different things that we're touching. Year-end, any type of reports that go out to any kind of boards and monthly reports in general. I've got our team really working on changing the formats on that to make it look a little cleaner, a little more efficient, and really highlight those things that are important to us and then get rid of the fluff, so to speak. A little easier to look at. I do like to give a report each month on those things that you touch, and that being hiring, where we're at with our new employees. So briefly, the last board, towards the end of the year, approved 3 new hires. They were hired. Brad Robbins, Casey Tivo, and Nick Miller. Brad Robbins is already on solo car. He was a lateral, so within 8 weeks, he was in the car by himself. Casey is still in field training. She's also a lateral. She just felt that she needed a little bit more time adjusting to the difference of departments and the, you know, just the knowing the mapping of the city and everything, since she came from Ohio. Nick Miller is currently in his 4th week of the academy, so it's going to be several months before we see him back, and then since he's not been a police officer before, it'll be another 3 or 4 months after that before he's in a solo car. We extended 2 conditional offers in the past month or so. One of those was Alexis Couchman, which the last board already approved our conditional offer for, and we'll be coming probably next month for Ryan Barth, so you guys will have to approve that for us. A couple other things really just to note. Once we hire Alexis and Ryan, that puts us at 73. 73, that includes one that we lost last year. We were approved to get to 75 in '24, so we still have 2 more to hire. We're going to start another hiring process here within the next month or 2 to look for 2 more people for that. So we'll keep you posted on that. A couple of other things we're in the middle of. We're kind of right in the middle of, really, is a 5-year strategic plan, a very robust 5-year all-encompassing plan to share both internally and externally. We're hoping to have that built out and be able to show the mayor and deputy mayor at least the first draft by the end of the first quarter, and then really make it look good so we can share it to this board, our council, and the public. The other thing, I don't know if you're aware, but we are in the middle of starting our building process. We, in 2023, we started schematic design. We're kind of in the final stages of schematic design now, getting really close to starting that construction design. There'll be a contract in front of you here probably next month to look at, but we're looking really forward to being able to share design with you. I also wanted to comment, Scott Senefield with Veritas is here today. I just wanted to introduce you to Scott. He's part of Veritas, who is our owner's rep. And other than that, I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. So if you have any questions for me, here to answer.
I have a comment, and that might be what you were alluding to with the appearance, that 4th slide, and it's really hard to read. I don't know what the numbers are for some of those colors on that graph or chart, but probably need to clean that up.
That will never be here again. And that's what
I've got
I mean.
old eyes. Maybe the numbers are there and I don't see them, but yeah, maybe we just bucket into a miscellaneous or something. I don't care how you do that, but
Yeah, as I said, it's going to look. We're going to use new apps, and it'll look a lot like what you see. A lot of agencies do now. It'll be, I call it little bullets of what's important to us as a department, what's important for us to see as a city, and they'll align along with what we have identified in our strategic plan that is important to us.
So 75 will be full staff in '24?
Yes.
Are you still seeing in the last process. I know a couple years ago, you're seeing much less attention to people actually wanting to come and apply. Has that situation improved at all, or are we still pretty flat on applicants?
Yeah, flat is probably a good word. But I think we're making strides as a city to make ourselves very competitive with those around us. So we have never had a problem filling spots. Let's put it that way. But the numbers of applicants are definitely down. We tend to focus a lot on laterals, but this next process that we have will be totally open. So.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for Chief Rush?
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. On to Public Works, Mr. Nail.
Yeah, so a lot of the street department guys are trying to rest up. They've been working their tails off over the last 2 weeks with winter weather. A lot of overnight shifts trying to get ahead of some of the winter weather we've seen. Travis Stetnish and Justin Jones and their whole team just to continue to do a great job for the city. And it's important to note as well, we have inspection guys on the engineering department that jump in and help, as well as Chris McConnell's Parks Department guys come in helping with snow removal efforts. It's truly a team effort on Public Works, and just want to thank them for those efforts. We're really excited. We mentioned already the Simon Moon bid opening on Tuesday, the 30th. We're excited. We had a tremendous amount of interest in the pre-bid meeting. 10 or 11 contractors, I think, came to that meeting, which is outstanding. So a lot of interest in the project. We're excited. We hope that translates into good competitive bids as well. On the engineering side, we're working on the 161st and Spring Mill Roundabout. We've got a little bit of right-of-way acquisition we still need to clean up and some utility relocation work that's going to get going. Actually, A&F Engineering's finalizing design on that roundabout. They had moved plans to, I'd say 90%, 95%, and then we paused for some funding reasons, identifying funding for the project, but we are moving forward now, so excited to get that going. On Monday night at the council meeting, if you want to tune in, I'll be giving a brief update on the Monon Tunnel under 161st Street project. We have re-engaged United Consulting on that design. That project will be moving forward, and we are working with Citizens Energy on water main relocation work that'll get started as early as July this year on a 20-inch water main on the south side of 161st Street that needs to get relocated in advance of that project. So exciting stuff there. Michael and his team continue to work through several other projects, namely 181st and Wheeler Road. Had a good progress meeting with our consultant on that one yesterday, finalizing the design on that much needed roundabout. And then stay tuned, we'll be having a public information meeting in February for Little Eagle Creek Avenue. That's a project from 146th Street up to about 159th. It's a rural road that we are looking to accommodate improvements to the pavement, drainage improvements, and potentially some bike facilities as well. And looking to get feedback from the public on the design there on that project. The exact dates to be determined, but looking to get that done in February. We'll have public notices, letters out to the property owners and so forth in advance of that. And then lastly, the city council is looking at creating a standalone parks department, which is much needed for the city of Westfield, we feel. I just want to recognize Chris McConnell. He is an absolute star in Parks and Rec in that community and continues to excel for the city. With a parks department comes a parks board, so he won't be coming to Board of Public Works in the near future because he'll be reporting to a parks board. But I just wanted to recognize his efforts because he's done an outstanding job for us for many years here in the city of Westfield, and I wanted to congratulate him on that and make sure you're aware. So with that, happy to answer any questions.
Questions or comments for Mr. Nail on his report? No? All right. Thank you very much. That concludes the business for today, unless you have anything else, Mr. Mayor.
Nothing from mine.
All right,
Appreciate you guys, your willingness to serve. It's a very, very important board for our city, so I really appreciate that. It's good to see you back in the chair, my friend.
it's good to be back, sir. All right, if there's no further business, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you.